Welcome back to Retail Therapy. My name's Will DeFries. In the studio with me today, Barrett Dudley. Barrett, how's it going?
It's going great. I feel like I haven't been here in the studio with you in quite some time. We've just been, living that jet set lifestyle, just like hopping on the planes, hopping out at LAX, but not really LAX. It was more like JFK, and then also whichever what the airport code is at in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, you can tell that we didn't plan the trip to. We didn't book the flights to Louisville, as we are not the ones who know what's going on.
But man, it has been a whirlwind couple of weeks, and I know that our audience members and our listeners are probably super geeked up to hear these recaps, and I'm stoked to talk about them. But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm tired.
I'm a little tired. Yeah.
I don't think I needed to do the things that I did post-event in terms of being social and staying out late in New York. But if anything holds true about New York City, it's that city is prone to chew me up and spit me out, and that's what it did this time. And that's the way I like it.
Yeah. And it's we obviously had like a 4-night New York trip right on the heels of our Kentucky Derby weekend, and yeah, I would have liked for them to maybe be a little bit further spaced apart. But also, I do feel it's kind of one of those badge of honor things, right? That you've just when you have been on back-to-back trips, and now it's kind of like I'm also having a bit of kind of like a relapse where I'm like, well, what's my next trip?
I know,
you know,
it's ugly.
I'm already looking into things for July and August because I don't have anything planned, and now there's this void in my life because I'm not going to be doing, dope shit.
It's good that we had New York quickly following Kentucky Derby, or else I think the Derby boys would have gone a little bit more wild than they did. I think we needed the other trip in our crosshairs to make sure that we didn't sell out on the first trip.
That's correct. But that being said, had we been able to turn it up to 11 at the Kentucky Derby, then suffice it to say, I think we probably would have been hanging out with Jack Harlow.
It's true.
At 4:30 a.m. on Sunday morning.
It's true.
I think that's pretty. I'm 99% positive about that.
I don't think you're that wrong. I think if we needed to make that happen, we probably could have. But I think we were a little maybe it's best that we don't try to do that.
Yeah.
I have a big day today. I recently acquired some voluminous trousers, as Gian likes to call them. And they're so voluminous that I've now had to put on some training wheel voluminous trousers in order to get ready for the other ones. And it's the first time I've ever worn these pants. I've never worn them out in public, only in my apartment.
You're wearing them today?
I'm wearing them right now. It's one of those moments. I had it with some shoes earlier this year, but it's one of those moments when I walk into the office and I either pray that no one notices or I pray that no one absolutely roasts me from the second I walk in. No one said a word, which means I think that no one's noticed at all. And that probably also signals that I'm just overthinking everything still.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing these are the baggiest pants that I've worn, I think, since probably third grade.
Okay. Now, are these a recent pickup?
These were a pickup last fall.
Okay.
And they've remained in the closet because I was like, these are simply too baggy. I can't do this. I don't think I can work this. And there were two things that really changed the tide for me. One were the Manresa pants that I recently came in contact with.
Yeah, that's required.
And two, the dad in the show Beef is only wearing baggy trousers at this point, and I can't get over it. I need to be on his wave at this point. I might start doing pottery like he does. I might redo my entire house to look like their house. I don't know if you started the show yet.
I've not. It's very high on my list. People cannot stop talking about it. It's popped up all over various radars of mine. That I think you posted one of the dad's fits on the Sunday Scaries Instagram story, maybe on Retails as well. But that cardigan is actually a John Elliott cardigan.
Okay.
So it's popped up in that world, and plus in my TV world where that's a super hot show right now. So it's high on the list, but man, we're just there's so much TV out there right now, so much good stuff that it's very hard to keep up and catch up.
I want you to hold me to this because I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to start doing a column on the Substack that's just called I can't stop thinking about this fit, and I just break down what it is, why I like it. I give alternatives, or either maybe more price friendly alternatives to what they're wearing, and just go make it happen, because I literally cannot stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
I keep going to my Twitter page, just being like, yep, there it is again. That's a cozy ass cardigan.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into it today, we got a lot to cover today.
Oh man,
we're gonna be jet setting mid pod today.
Yeah.
Before we do, Make sure that you go follow at retail.pod on Instagram. Make sure that you get all your listener companions at willdefreeze.substack.com. And make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube page where you can watch all of our episodes that we do, including the live episode from earlier this week. Just go do it. It's youtube.com/Sunday Scaries podcast. And from there, it should be pretty easy. Just go to the description of this episode. All those links will be right there for you. And yeah. But before we get into it, today's episode is brought to you by Early Bird CBD. Early Bird gummies are something you've heard a lot about, and it's mainly from us because we love them. These are recreational hemp products that contain around 2.5 milligrams of natural THC and around 12.5 milligrams of CBD in each gummy. These things are formulated for fun and to make you feel good, and they do just that. If there was one thing I was looking forward to when we got back from our New York trip, it was popping one of these, getting in bed, and watching my shows. And that's something I like to do. But some people don't even use them for that. Some people use them to pregame a little bit before going out. Some people just like a cool buzz from the THC or the CBD. Or some people just want to feel a little creative without getting too lit. It's nothing wrong with that. Totally legal. They can ship anywhere in the United States. Early Bird is based in Austin. But you know what? They're such a local company that we can't help but support them, even if they weren't on this podcast. And they're one of the original advertisers with us here at Wash Media. So go make it happen. Wicks, promo code WICKS, WICKS, will get you 20% off everything in the Early Bird store. Again, that is promo code WICKS as in the candle at earlybirdcbd.com for 20% off everything. Barrett, let's go to Louisville, Kentucky.
Let's do it.
Your first experience in Louisville, or your first adult experience?
My first adult experience in Louisville. Here's where I want to start. I want to start with a question.
Okay.
Is Louisville, Kentucky, the Southeast or the Midwest?
I would just say that I think they consider themselves the South.
Okay. Because I actually got more Midwest vibes.
It's kind of a Midwest vibe.
But it's really, it really is, it's a mix of the two. Which was not something that I was really like expecting, but like definitely creates like a really kind of interesting and unique environment and has some really cool stuff about it.
It's almost like there were parts of it that we were in that made me feel like we were almost in like Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
But like I almost feel like the people are more Southern and the actual geography of the city is more like Midwestern.
Okay.
But I've had a lot of experiences in Louisville. I really do like it, and I've always enjoyed being there. It's a nice city, and it was honestly nice being there when I actually wasn't, college aged.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned just like the people basically like that's I think my biggest takeaway is just how nice and genuinely friendly everybody was, like from your friend that lives in Louisville to like our hosts at the Churchill Downs, at the Kentucky Derby, to our PR friends who brought us out there, who were amazing. And this is not a slight at like the South, but like I generally feel like there's a piece of the Southern hospitality that's like sometimes feels like obligatory. Mm-hmm. And this had that like just like really like genuine, like people are just glad that you're there.
Oh yeah.
And seeing the city and like going to the Derby and all of that. I was just kind of blown away by it. And it was a fantastic trip, fantastic city. I would love to go back and just kind of explore some of the little districts a little bit more on a weekend that was not consumed by horse racing, although the Derby was pretty sweet as well.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got shot into it immediately. We arrived there. We went straight to our hotel, which we had a beautiful upgrade.
Oh, amazing.
From just a one-bedroom to pretty much having our own apartment. Which
shouts
was
to the Bellwether.
Major shouts to the Bellwether. Highly recommend. It was enjoyable. They had a turntable there for us. They had a couple bottles of bourbon on the counter that we embarrassingly didn't even touch. Like,
I hope those went to a real nice home.
Yeah, me too. I think they did.
Are we bourbon boys again?
I think we might be.
Like that. Like I do not. I think you've gotten a little bit into you. We've got a friend. You've got a that's into the bourbon collecting.
I've started to get the push in the direction of nice bottles of bourbon that I think I've bought essentially 2 of at this point. And I'll be honest, I really do enjoy it. Yeah. I don't drink much of it, but when it's like, especially during the winter months, I think it's especially during the winter months, I like to have a little bit on the rocks.
Yeah. Then, and I've not gotten into that world yet. I'm not like hunting down like the Blantons or the Wellers or whatever at Total Wine. I'm not out there ordering the Pappy Van Winkle or anything like that just yet. But I mean, just like going to the Old Forester tour and doing the bourbon tasting and then like having the mint juleps and then like all of that, like it has been a long time since I was drinking just kind of like since I was kind of imbibing bourbon in that way. Like my connection to it now is really more like rye Manhattans in the wintertime, kind of like you suggested. And yeah, I that's another thing that I definitely left with is like bourbon is pretty good.
It was pretty tasty.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you're doing everything, like it's just, I mean, it gives me a little skip in my step.
Yeah.
Like I felt pretty good walking pretty much everywhere at that point.
Yeah. And the weather was like very like warm but moderate.
We were lucky. I think we lucked out a little bit.
So I'm not saying that I'm going to be doing Pappy on the rocks when it's like 105 here in August. But it is definitely like on my radar to be like, you know what I need at home? Nice bottle of bourbon.
Yeah. Yeah. I was lucky enough to procure a bottle of bourbon before the trip that I can't justify going out and getting another nice bottle yet at this point. So I'm just going to hope that maybe it dissipates a little bit. But I mean, like you said, we did go to Old Forester. We did a nice little tasting there. We did a tour. We saw how all the barrels are made, how the whiskey's made, how the sausage is made, how everything's made. It was very cool. And then afterwards, we went to a restaurant called Repeal down the street. We were supposed to have a bourbon tasting there. I think there's a lot of moving parts in Louisville during these times.
Yes.
So some things got lost in the
it's
mix.
A hectic weekend.
Yeah. We didn't end up doing that tasting. So Brett and I just got real aggressive and we decided, you know what? We're going to have a little tasting of our own, not on the company card. And we decided to go taste a couple Pappy drinks and see how that went. And it went fine. I don't think I learned that there's no way I can tell the difference between any of them. Like it tasted the exact, I did the 10-year and it tasted the exact same as the time that I did the 15-year in recent memory. And it just shows me that my palate is just as mediocre as I think it is. I don't think I have a very, just high-end palate.
Well, at our Old Forester tasting, we had 4. We had a flight of 4, and it was like number 2, which was like that was my favorite. And they basically like went in order of, I feel like they're like sophistication, if you will. So that's how I'm grading my sophistication. I've got like the level 2 sophistication.
Well, one of my favorite parts of the tour was that we were with what I would assume was a bachelor party.
It was a bachelor party, for sure.
And there was one guy on the bachelor party who was down so bad that when we got to the tasting portion, I could just feel his skin crawling. And he was so like out of sorts that he knocked over one of the glasses or something. And it was just like, oh man, this is the most hungover person in Kentucky right now.
He had like the little slight handshake going on. And just like being in the presence of the bachelor party was giving me like a little bit of PTSD because I know exactly how that morning went. Because you get that many guys, that group together, that big of a group, you're all in your mid to late 20s, somewhere in that range. There's one guy who's already the early riser, who's slammed like 14 bourbons the night before and like 6 Miller Lights, and then is like up at 7:30, just chipper as can fucking be.
Yep.
And it means that everybody else like doesn't get to sleep. So that poor bastard who with the shaky hands, like he had to be up at like 8:30 because nobody would let his ass sleep.
He probably woke up on like the most uncomfortable couch in like the shittiest Airbnb that they had. It just
they were
looked
like,
tough.
Come on, man, let's go. We got to get out there.
The other guys seemed fine.
Yeah.
I was impressed with them. I was like, you guys did pretty well.
But yeah, he was definitely in a rough place.
Well, that night we ended up going to it's called Sherby, which is a party that I think is mainly for locals, and
it's like a block party.
Yeah, it's just a big block party. They had tickets that you could go get beers with. They had live music. We had a girl come up and recognize Barrett from Oysters, Clams, and Cockles
from the other
even
podcast,
though she doesn't listen to the she didn't even listen to the podcast. So I think she literally thought you hosted a podcast about shellfish.
From what I understand, she was a scout. She had been sent out to do some reconnaissance work. So she definitely was confused about the name of the podcast. So
she's like, "Do you host a podcast about oysters?" And
yeah,
it's like
he's big in the shellfish industry.
Actually, kind of both of them kind of talk about oysters regularly, so it's kind of difficult to figure out.
It's accurate.
And then after that, we had what was probably the most satisfying pizza I've had in months.
Yeah.
I needed it. They had the little tiny pepperoni cups. We had the bar to ourselves, and Barrett and I just sat back and drank some Heinekens.
Yeah, we had a couple Heinies. And I mean, drinks of the summer, as far as beer goes, you already know we're on that lager wave. And like lagers in green bottles that's what it is.
It's kind of European luxury just to bust out the Heineken.
Yeah.
Like how many like soccer players are on holiday during the summer and they're just on like a boat somewhere drinking Heinekens? I feel like that's pretty good.
That's yes.
Yeah, we might be Heine boys.
I'm a little disappointed that like, some of the other circling back host didn't get to experience our bartender / pizza server, because there is no doubt in my mind that the bit that would have resulted from that experience would have rivaled Las Vegas bartender.
Honestly, that never even crossed my mind, but you are absolutely correct.
He was as big of a personality as that guy.
The gruffest voice. All he cared about was listening to Blink-182 Pandora radio and serving us beers when he had already shut the bar down. It was such a welcoming experience.
Are we going flat brim backwards over the ears,
dude,
this year?
Like and then down down to the eyebrows too, like as far down as you can get it.
Like I think that's. I know you have a little concert scheduled in a couple of months.
Yeah, I might have to go full.
You're gonna go see Blink-182.
I am,
and I think you need like a Hurley hat or something, just like flat brim, like pulled down to your eyebrows, backwards, and over your ears.
I wish I had my entire wardrobe from my punk days, because like I would have had my famous Stars and Straps belt buckle. I would have had my favorite Hurley shirt. I had on some like.
Was that on a studded belt?
I don't remember if that one was studded or not. Yes, I definitely had one studded one that I moved the F logo to and from.
Well, that's the thing. You could switch it back and forth.
I also had you can tell how long I've had anxiety about things that I'm wearing, because I would even had I had a zip up Baker skateboard sweatshirt, and I was so afraid to wear the wrist sweatband. That I would hide it under the sweatshirt and hope that it would peek out and be have someone be like, oh, that's cool. And then I could be like, oh yeah. And then but anytime I'd take my sweatshirt off in class, I'd sit there for 3 minutes until I was like, okay, I got to take this off before someone makes fun of me. I might just need to do that. I might need to run back that entire look for Blink-182 though.
Yeah, I think so. That's like a thing, right? Like people are like Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, like people are dressing up for these concerts.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to continue that trend into Blink-182. But yeah, our bartender / server there was he was something.
It was fun.
He definitely added to the experience.
Well, then Derby Day, we woke up feeling good. We got straight to the track, and we Bear and I had the pleasure of doing something we didn't know that we were going to do going into this.
That's correct. Yeah.
And that was having our first ever red carpet experience.
Yes.
I hate to admit this because nobody will ever know. I might have bricked my first ever red carpet by making the first move the wrong move, which was they told us before we went out, okay, there are 2 X's. Stand behind the X's and just stand there and get your photo taken.
They weren't that clear with us.
And I walked straight to the X, and they were like, no, that is way too far up. You need to stand behind the X about 10 feet.
You're about 6 inches away from the cameras at the X.
Yeah, one of the photographers looked at me. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Stand back. And I was like, I feel like the biggest loser right now.
Okay, will you please tell the listeners who bookended us on the red carpet?
We had a TikTok dog who apparently is like a Louisville legend.
He's a Louisville legend. He was a rescue, and yeah, he's definitely more famous than we are.
And then we had what was the name of the guy who we had that was in front of us?
Yeah.
He was a British menswear influencer with he's got over 1 million followers. I immediately thought he was from an HBO show for some reason. He just kind of had this look, had this vibe. He had really good tats. I'll be able to find his name. I'll put it in the listener digest because I feel bad that we don't even remember.
Brett knew who he was.
Brett already followed him.
Over 1 million followers, so he was definitely
he got the follow from me, and I enjoyed it. And then behind us was noted Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
That's right.
And I never even saw her.
Yeah,
never even saw her. I think I was too blinded by the lights.
From the photogs.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we kept our sunglasses on the red carpet. One, primarily for the photog lights. It definitely was not because we had bags under our eyes from being slightly hungover and waking up super early.
Couldn't have paid me to go without sunglasses on that red carpet. They can't send us out there before noon and expect our eyes to look good. So I was just like, we're going sunglasses. And I think the sunglasses did end up making us look like DJs
a little bit
because they attributed us to somebody else, and that's fine.
We were giving chain smokers.
I felt like a chain smoker in that moment. I don't know if we're ever going to get those photos done, but I did find one professionally photo taken, and I have saved it to my phone, and it's high res. If we ever need it for anything, I've got the one.
If we want to blow it up and get it framed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
along with the caption tagging us as 2 musicians.
I think the other one had it somewhat correct, but not totally correct. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's okay. We were two different publications wanted to chat with us.
Mm-hmm.
One, I'm pretty sure knew about Sunday Scaries.
They knew about the Instagram
I think
page.
she was familiar with the Slams laptop shut.
The other one was just straight up guessing.
The other was just like, I guess we better talk to these guys.
Yeah, I was like, these guys are just standing here waiting for the dog to mosey on by. So maybe we should ask them some questions and not make them feel bad about themselves.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had it. I'm glad we got to do it. That was
nice of them. That was nice of them.
That might have been the most nervous I've been in the last, like, including the live event in New York. I think I was more nervous walking the red carpet.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I don't really have an explanation as to why, but I was just like, I was kind of freaking out before it. It ended up going fine. I'm glad you were there because I couldn't have done that alone.
We had strength in numbers.
I would have been like tripping over myself. And then from there, they led us to our seats. We got to do a full race day experience. They took us down to the paddock. We got to see the horses, a lot of the owners, everything like that, trainers. And then we got to walk right down to the rail and see the track right from there. It was a very cool experience, just seeing how the owners really live. And then we got to see how like just bougie people live. They took us to the Homestretch Club, which was our home base. It's a new addition to Churchill Downs, and it's right up against the track. I mean, we were probably, I don't know, 20 rows back, if that.
Yeah.
And we were surrounded by a bunch of people that seemed to be living a pretty luxe and enjoyable life, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it was pretty. One of the things that I definitely didn't know of just kind of about the day was that the Kentucky Derby itself is race number 12 on the day.
Yeah.
So it's a full day of races. And so you can sit down, but you will inevitably be standing up out of your seat, 24 times, give or take, to one, let people out from your row so that they can go place more bets.
Oh, yes. No shortage
and then,
of that.
Number two, so that you can get up and walk to the bar and get more bourbon.
I think it also helps keep people like fresh by like being like, okay, there's another race. You have to like be with it and like, okay, what's going on? Like you don't just settle into power drinking the entire time. You have a 2-minute break where you're like, it's like, okay, I'm sobering up and getting some adrenaline going again. And it just, I think it helps.
Yeah, but that was, the fashion was definitely interesting. We definitely knew to expect a lot of wild and crazy hats and bright colors and all that. I think it was what was kind of cool or just kind of interesting is the range of like you've got the people with like the Tipsy Elf style suits on and like some really like kooky stuff that's maybe veers all the way into tacky, and then you've just got like the highest of the high, like super elevated, unbelievably gorgeous dresses and very ornate and cool and fun hats, obviously. And so it's just like you get the whole range, which is just quite a bit of fun because like everybody is there to party and have a good time. And you just kind of get to pick your own little lane there, depending on what type of vibe you want to give off.
It's all-time people watching.
Yeah.
All-time people watching. Barrett, we need to know, top to bottom, what were you wearing that day?
Let's see. I was dressed in a J. Crew Kenmare suit, which is no longer available. It was seasonal from last year. I also wore it to a wedding last spring.
If you see this pop up in another color maybe, or if you see it again, will you just let someone know?
I definitely will.
Because I really enjoyed the fabric of that.
Fabric was great. It's like a Cool Max, like seersucker type deal. It was perfect for the weather, perfect for the event. And then one of our favorite Twitter personalities, Derek Guy, he just recently tweeted about how he's really loving celery colored suits right now.
There we go. Celery season.
And I think that the photo that he posted was right in the zone that I was in. I had on a linen white and tan striped dress shirt from Banana Republic. And then I had a pair of well-received, although somewhat divisive from a couple of commenters, a pair of loafers from Doc Martens that kind of like matched my suit perfectly.
They did. I liked it.
I think I liked it too. We had some blowback from our sockless looks.
I will never. I said in the Instagram comments, I didn't even pack a pair of socks for the trip. You couldn't have paid me to.
You said that, and I thought about it, and I was like, man, he's right. He didn't.
There was no way I was going to, and like I barely even packed socks for New York. Like at this point, I have dirty feet. I'm just a hippie now. I don't care.
Yeah. Tell us about yours.
We're mule boys. Mine was pretty straightforward. I needed a new suit for a wedding anyway, but I thought I'd get it a little early and strut it at Derby. And so I got a new suit from Suit Supply. It's kind of just like a They call it dark brown. It's more tan to me than anything.
Oh, yeah, it was like damn near white.
Yeah. It's it's a very light tan. And then I had on just a classic kind of nondescript white shirt underneath. And then some Sabas on the feet. They've recently upped their prices. So I have really apologized to anyone who's reached out late or that this episode went up late. But as of right now, I got bad news. Their prices went up, but I still love them and I still wear them all the time.
Earlier this week, I saw a photo of Seth Rogen on the red carpet with Rose Byrne promoting their new film.
Yeah,
and he is wearing, I believe, a celery-colored suit with some Saba loafers.
Damn, I was hoping I was the first ever Saba red carpet guy.
I think you might have beat him to it.
Oh, that would have been big for me.
Unless he's been doing this for ages. But I was like, oh yeah, nice.
Well, then the real risk I took was the ascot. And I have to say, I think it paid off very well for me. I'd never won an ascot before. I never even acquired anything of that sort. And so what I did was I went out and I bought some inexpensive bandanas to really test the waters. But what I really wanted was the Drake's Amélion d'Or printed bandana. I really wanted the tie. Had they just had the tie in that same print, I probably would have gotten that because I just wanted it. But the fact that I was forced to buy that bandana and get that ascot style, I was very happy about that. And I think I'm going to do it again at some point.
What was it? So was the one you got was an Ame collab?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I really liked the tie before, and I regret not getting it when it first came out. I thought it was a cool print. I thought it worked. And I thought it was worth the splurge.
The ascot did exactly what it was supposed to do, which is make everybody around you think that you were just dropping like 4 digits min on every one of your bets.
That was the hope. That was the hope.
Yeah.
And like Brett, Brett was with us, and like people thought he was from Summer House. It was just like I don't think the ascot hurt the fact that people thought he was from Summer House. It's Summer House people would roll with a dude that's wearing an ascot.
He's with that guy with the ascot, so he must be from Summer House. That's good logic if you ask me.
I was scared to walk in and just have one person be like, "What's up, Farnsworth Bentley?" And I was just been like, "Fuck!" Like I'm so irrelevant right now.
Yeah, but it was good. I definitely the ascot was good. It's a good move.
Well, after the Derby, it was the after party. Obviously, we had to go hit Jack Harlow's after party. At which point we realized that we might have just maybe needed to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, the umbrella corporation that we're here under producing this podcast, it says it all in the name.
Yeah,
we're a little washed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
I didn't even have like the energy in me to like try to make something out of it. I was like, just like, man, my legs are tired, and I started yelling over the DJ. And I could hear my voice slowly going away. It was like post-bachelor party Randy sometimes, which I really enjoy. And like I could just feel my voice just leaving my body like Ariel.
It was the type of party that you and I and even Brett probably have not been to in some like 5 to 10 years.
Not like
because
it's been forever for me.
It was basically going to a hip hop club.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But in kind of like in like a warehouse type setting,
mm-hmm.
a DJ was blasting all of the hottest and latest rap tunes,
mm-hmm.
everything from like Ice Spice to like Lil Uzi Vert to just like if it's hot right now, if it's like much cooler than probably the hip hop that we're used to listening to at this point, like it was being played. There were multiple VIP and bottle service table areas. And if you've ever just like scrolled Revolve and like seen some of the really kind of like showy, risque clubwear that's on there, and you're like, even if you like it, even if you think it's sexy, you probably are like, but where, who, how, what?
Here.
And it was here. It was right here. That is where you wear it. It's to the Jack Harlow after party after the Kentucky Derby. Some of the glitziest, showiest outfits I have ever seen in my entire life. And we were there at 12:30 nominally.
Yeah, I think we were there from about 11 to 12:30.
And I am positive that if Jack Harlow actually made an appearance on stage or did anything, it was at like 4 a.m.
Oh, for sure.
Like we were at the beginning of the party, basically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's one of those scenarios where like, yeah, he's going to go hang out, talk to people forever. And like, he's supposed to go on. Oh, I hear he's going on at 1:30. I hear he's going on at 1:30. Yeah. Suddenly it's 3:15 and you're like, is he even going on at this point?
Yeah. So you really needed to be in the mindset to just like settle in and just like, what I think is that most people there did not actually go to the Derby.
I would assume that.
I think that's probably a pretty safe bet. Or if they did, they're like 23 years old and they've just like, they've just got the gas tank for that. But we did not. And
I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us for going home when we did. I'm proud of us for getting home without too bad of. I don't think any of us had too bad of a hangover.
No, Sunday was not the scariest for me. Monday was actually a little bit worse,
for sure.
Unsurprising.
Monday
I think
was way worse than Sunday.
But Brett and I did catch we had a Jack Harlow sighting. You missed out.
I went to the bathroom for 90 seconds and missed Jack Harlow.
We ran up to the VIP area to grab a couple of beers, and there was much commotion at the bottom floor. And then all of a sudden we looked over at the stairs and like 20 people are just like ascending in a very hushed manner, or I'm sorry, in a very rushed manner, very, very, very hectic. And all of a sudden we look over and Jack, who is much taller than I realized, guy's like probably 6'2".
I had no clue.
Yeah.
Makes sense. He's a white man, can't jump now.
Crazy long hair right now, which is just like, it just kind of like bounces, just kind of like does this bob. And he's just like strides by, like surrounded by like 15 people. And it was very cool sighting.
It's cool. I saw Lindsay Zarniak.
I didn't get like dapped up or anything.
Yeah, I just saw Lindsay Zarniak of ESPN fame. So.
You did? Yeah, she was at the party.
Yeah.
She was having a good time.
That was my big sighting at the party.
We saw, I loved our sighting that dated the hell out of us, which is that you and I knew immediately when we were standing right next to WNBA legend Lisa Leslie.
I didn't even have to look at, like, I didn't even see her face. I was like, that's Lisa Leslie. That's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
I was so excited for some reason.
We did a little photo booth action, which I think we did brick. Unfortunately,
yeah,
because it was too early.
Yeah, that was too early. We needed one drink before going to the photo booth.
Yeah, absolutely. But we were behind her in the line for this, and that was a good sighting. We saw Emmitt Smith, and then maybe our most like broadly popular sighting would be from about 100 feet away. We saw Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank.
Anytime you get sharks in the mix, it's always a good scene. That was my first ever shark sighting. I've never been to a Mavs game to see Cuban.
Right.
I've never seen Herjavec anywhere. Barbara, she's escaped me every time I've tried to go see her out in the wild, so it's just difficult. But it was good. If I could see any shark in the flesh, I think it'd be Mr. Wonderful at this point.
I mean,
I'll see Cuban at some point.
He's up there. I was just about to say, like, Cubes is probably number one.
Cubes is easy to see though. You just got to go to a game that he's at.
Right. But I think Mr. Wonderful, he's got to be top three.
Yeah. So I was glad we sniped him.
I'm also pretty sure that he was wearing a short pants suit.
He was
from Tom Brown.
He and once you pointed that out, he like 100% was.
So 100%. He was flexing on us as well.
Yeah. He looked good. He
had the dad cap action, which I think we've discussed. I mean, eyes emoji, retail therapy merch down the line at some point. But the dad cap that suggests that you may or may not be part of an ownership group. Pretty fly.
It's a flex to have on like your suit or your blazer and slacks, and then just have on like a horse hat. It's like, oh, okay, you're operating on a different level than we are today.
That's correct.
Any closing thoughts on the Derby?
Man, Austin, get more direct flights in and out of Louisville. That would be another final thought.
Layover, we watch everything went as good as it could have gone on the final day.
It did.
If you are going to go to the Kentucky Derby in the future, make sure that if you have an early flight out and you don't have TSA pre-check, arrive about 5 to 6 hours early because that line was one of the longer ones I've ever seen in an airport, if not the longest.
Yeah.
We kept on going around corners, and I could not believe that some people had to wait in that.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. But no, big thank you to our hosts out there,
yes.
and everybody that we interacted with and that said what's up to us, and made our trip just super enjoyable and a lot of fun.
Well, before we get into our NYC recap, I do want to speak to our friends over at Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. You can stand out with a beautiful website, you can engage with your audience, and you can sell anything, your products, the content you create, and even your time. I've been using Squarespace for 10 years now, and I love it. I've just been a fan of it ever since the day that I made an account. It was a no-brainer for me to sign up, and it's allowed me to be creative without having to learn how to code, without having to learn how to worry about anything. They make it so simple to create a website, to list products, to sell products, to reach your audience base through email, to do whatever you need. And you know that I am standing by it because I have been using it for 10 straight years, and I have not been getting paid to say that. It is something that I have paid for a decade. make sure that if you're trying to start your business and you're trying to sign up for a website, do it through Squarespace. You won't regret it. Head to squarespace.com/scaries for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code SCARIES to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/scaries for a free trial. And then you can use code SCARIES to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. New York.
New York is in New York.
I hadn't been to New York since pre-pandemic. The pre-pandemic trip that I took, I went to a lot of the same neighborhoods that we went to this time, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's my little area of New York that I like to stick to when I'm there.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are super familiar, but we basically kept to Lower Manhattan on this trip. Tribeca, Greenwich Village, the West Village, Soho, Lower East Side, Dime Square, a little bit of Chinatown. That's the area that we were hanging out in. It is all technically like walkable, basically, which is one of my favorite parts about New York. I love being able to walk places. When you're there, it's like a 25-minute walk is nothing. That's probably because the same drive would take you about 40 in traffic. And that's where for us, I think the best food, shops, all of that, just kind of like it just lives there. So yeah, if you want to go to Broadway, if you want to see the museums, you do have to. If you want to go to the unbelievable Nordstrom store, then you make your way up to Midtown. But for our intents and purposes, yeah, I think that Lower Manhattan, that's our game.
Yeah. We got in late Tuesday night. It feels crazy that it was all like last week. It was so much packing in.
Yeah, I was thinking about that before we recorded today. I was like, damn, like we were arriving in New York a week ago.
We were leaving. I was headed for the airport at this time last week, and it feels like it was like 3 weeks ago.
Pretty nuts.
We arrived late on Tuesday night, so we really woke up on Wednesday, and we hit Jack's wife Frida for a nice little lunch before we did our sound check and everything.
Yeah, Jack's wife Frida, we're going to talk about some of the Lower Manhattan, New York cliches, I think, here in a minute. Jack's wife Frida, it's definitely like made an appearance on Nolita Dirtbag.
Oh,
Instagram
for sure.
Account.
Yeah,
it's got like 6 locations now.
Like I knew about Jack's wife Frida from like Man Repeller days. Just like, like I'm pretty sure they had like a sponsorship or at least like a running tab with Jack's wife Frida.
Definitely. It's one of the first, I think probably my first experience at Jack's wife Frida was like 2016 or something like that. So it's been a while, but it's still an institution with 6 locations for a reason because it's still really good.
Yeah, I had a fire curry there,
and it's one of the things that I actually wish like that Austin would pick up on because like one of my other favorite restaurants in Williamsburg is Mogador Cafe, which is it's also like Mediterranean breakfast, and like I love that.
Yeah,
like you know what's great with your eggs? It's like a little bit of tzatziki sauce.
Yeah.
Little,
it needs to happen more.
Couscous.
It needs to happen more.
So
I'm a big fan of the Mediterranean diet
cucumber
overall.
And tomato salad, a little pita bread. Like it's so good. So you got
to eat the cucumbers before you spike your glucose.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Yes.
That's a joke for 2. And then, that day we really just did the sound check with all the Nordstrom team. Barrett and I got to spend a lot of time in the Nordstrom store. We were hanging out. Gian gave us a nice tour of the men's store, which is across the street. And it was kind of just like a chill event day, which was nice. We did have, and for anything with that surrounding that day, I mean, you can hear it all on the episode that we released earlier this week with Gian. And it's all there.
It's all there. It's all in the live pod. But just want to reiterate, like, I can't believe the turnout. I think we were really blown away. So thank you to everybody, all of our New York listeners that made it out. I think probably, you mentioned that we were nervous walking the red carpet. I think I may have spoken too soon because I did not have nerves all day long. I was not stressed or
so
pressed.
My pacing in the green room never got to you because at one point I glued myself to the window and said, "Stop pacing. You might stress Barrett out."
No, it was good. And so the event was going to start at 6 and we were supposed to start the podcast with Gian at 6:30. And so we're hanging out in the green room. We made some last minute green room requests, by the way, which we're
real divas.
Just real power moves. We asked for like sparkling water and mints
and Altoids
and a steamer. And we got it all, baby.
I mean, at some point in the near future, you and I need to make if we were actual divas and we had like a full green room list. I actually want to know what your list would contain.
Yeah, we'll do it on another segment. But no, seriously, like but Monica and Julia, who were kind of our handlers for the day, were awesome, and they grabbed coffees for us. They were super attentive and just like crucial to this event. Anyway, we're hanging out in the green room. It's like 5:57. And we're like, okay, should we go up there? And we're like, no. Let's go up there just like a little bit after 6. And I think we didn't want to be the first ones up there.
Correct.
But we also wanted like a chance to just like kind of see the crowd come in and like mingle and just like kind of have the wave wash over us. No, we walk up there at like 6:04. And as soon as we walk in, it's like the lights are on and every seat in the house is pretty much filled. Like everybody's already sitting down, just like waiting for us. Everybody has their glass of wine already. The food spread was awesome, and we were like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, the way I described it was like it washed away a certain anxiety in me when I saw that we actually had a full house, and I was like, yes. "Okay, we got a full house, baby! Like this is awesome." But then it ramped up everything when I was like, okay, more people to mess up in front of right now.
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of something to see that everybody there. But then like they just made it so easy, and everybody was great. And thanks for chatting with us. And
thank you to all the Nordstrom employees who stayed late
and hanging out with us
because we might have lingered a bit with everybody.
But just like, I mean, I can't wait to do another one, man.
I can't wait.
I've got a bunch of extra Retail Therapy ex Nordstrom tote bags that
I
you
might
and I
try
are
to
gonna
get
have
some
to
of those.
figure out what we want to do with.
Yeah, I need to get. I think they had some more. I think I might try to procure those from them.
Yeah.
That night we went to Emmett's and had some pizza, and then Barrett and I had a very interesting experience at Finelli Cafe.
Yes.
Which I need to clarify with everything we talk about in New York. I am not good with New York. I never have been. The only way that I think I could be is if I moved there and I lived there for 3 years, and then I would be caught up with everybody else. It's not a city that I have a good grasp on, and so if I sound like a dork talking about some of these places that might be considered touristy down the line in this episode, I don't care.
Finelli is another spot. I mean, Gian recommended Finelli to us.
Oh yeah,
but it is definitely like another notorious spot.
Yeah,
for people of our ilk. Hanging out and
just trying to go do something and see some fun.
Yeah.
And we ended up we did
see some fun.
We had our first martini of the trip, and we had the absolute pleasure of being right next to Chris Rock when he was in pure creative mode, which was just a wild experience.
It was. I think. I mean, not 24 hours later, you had a celeb sighting that I think eclipsed it, but.
Circling back, listeners know that it's Robert De Niro.
But probably the Chris Rock sighting has to be the biggest celebrity sighting that I've ever experienced in person, especially that I was that I was like literally feet away from.
Well, the setting of it was just cool.
And yeah, I feel like Night at the Roxbury telling the Emilio Estevez story when I retell this, but I'm gonna tell it again because we were just talking about the food with Gian, and he was, like, oh yeah, it's bar food, but it's like great. And I just like look down behind me at the little two top that's a foot behind me, and there's a basket of fries there, and I'm like, oh yeah, those do look good. And then like my head pans up, and I'm staring at Chris Rock, who's in the banquette.
You could have leaned over and kissed him if you wanted to,
with his headphones in, writing jokes on a little notepad.
Yeah, tight, very tight.
This dude is in the zone at Finelli at 11:45.
I felt like a big
Wednesday.
Idiot. I was still looking at the French fries.
Eating French fries, writing jokes.
I was still looking at the French fries, and I think I tapped you. I was like, dude, those fries look good. And then you looked at me and you were like, you see whose fries those are? And I was like, oh, Chris Rock.
So that was something. Meanwhile, the other thing that I love about New York is like basically like all of the full roster of Retail Therapy's favorite celebs were basically there while we were there. And that's New York. Like Emily Ratajkowski was courtside at the Knicks game on Wednesday night. Haley and Justin were spotted like gallivanting around Soho, having dinner at this place and lunch at this place. Freaking Taylor Swift and Matt Healy had like a listening party just last night, and we're coming out of Cipriani Cafe or something the Thursday or Friday night that we were there. Like
I saw Glenn Powell's ex.
Yeah, you saw. Yeah,
I didn't even
Gigi?
know who she was.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments where you just saw someone and you're like, man, they're so good looking. They have to be famous.
Right.
And then my buddy walked up and he goes, oh yeah, that's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
But so New York trip's not complete if you don't see Robert De Niro in Greenwich Village.
I'm going to read the restaurants that I went to, and then I'm going to call out which was my favorite thing that we had. I went to a restaurant called Frenchette for dinner one night, thought it was great. And every restaurant I went to was great. I had no bad experiences. I had a lunch at an Italian restaurant called Locanda Verde that was attached to the Greenwich Hotel. And then I also had kind of like we had a full, I mean, you could consider it a full meal, but it was at 3:30 in the afternoon before an 8 p.m. dinner. So we kind of held back a little bit at Via Carota, which if you know that, it's because you follow Dumois
yep.
And Taylor Swift was just there. And then from there, I also did Thai Diner, Il Buco. We went to the Ear End Bar, Finelli, and the Bowery Hotel. And my favorite overall meal was Thai Diner. My favorite overall... I don't even know what it was for like bar. It had to be Finelli Cafe.
Finelli, the gin martini with a twist that I was served at Finelli Cafe was pure gasoline.
I feel like there was something else in there. It was like high proof gin.
I had one beer after the podcast, and then I had some wine at Emmett's with pizza, and then my next drink was that martini, and like halfway through it, I was like toasted.
I had, after the event, my adrenaline was just going.
And maybe it's just because our nerves were just absolutely like frayed at the ends, and we were
I think that was it.
Pumped full of adrenaline. So it was going to the head a little bit.
Shout out to the listener who got us a glass of wine at the event.
Yes. Yeah.
Much needed.
Who we then later saw in the streets of Nolita outside of Il Buco.
Yeah.
I think that was Michael and Emma. Shouts to Michael and Emma.
I don't know how you remember names so well.
What I think Thai Diner, when Laura and I were kind of like rehashing the food, I think our favorites that we did were Thai Diner and Il Buco. It sounds like Thai Diner may have been like the overall consensus winner out of the entire group.
Well, it was unique. The space itself is so cool. The fact that we walked up, we didn't have a reservation, so we walked up for lunch. I mean, we got there at like 11:15, walked right in, no questions asked, very easy. It wasn't a weekend, so if you're going to do that on a weekday, I think that's the move. But just like we got a bunch of different dishes to split between the 5 of us, and everything tasted incredible. Everything was pretty unique, and like the roti went super hard, the massaman curry. We had a ton of stuff. It was just all really, really on point, and I don't know. I will definitely want to go back.
Blue crab fried rice, it's kind of like a
lobster omelet.
Lobster omelet. It elevated to like, I will definitely go back to this place.
It won't be the last time I go there.
The thing about like the Italian restaurants, I feel like it's hard for them to separate themselves from each other because there are so 100%. Many good Italian restaurants in New York.
I had 3 Italian meals all in like succession, and I don't think I could tell you the difference between them all.
Frenchette is French?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, but like my meal was essentially Italian. Like it wasn't like that much different. So like
between Frenchette, Locanda Verde, Via Carota, and Il Buco, it's you know, maybe one stood a little out above the others a little bit or something like that. But
I also just like I was kind of ordering light at all the restaurants because we were eating so many meals that I didn't want to go all in on one place and then not have an appetite for another. Yeah.
We also did Dudley's for lunch on the Lower East Side, which was a really cool scene, but probably better for like weekend when it has like a little bit more of a buzz around it. Blue Ribbon Sushi was like a super low key sushi spot that we really enjoyed. And then shouts to Checkmark Eats, our friend Alex Rychek, who helped host our South by Southwest party a couple of months ago. I was in Soho. Laura and I had been like shopping a ton. We needed to sit down. We needed an iced tea and like something sweet. I texted Alex, and with the same timestamp. It was like 4:18 or something. 4:18. I gave her my my intersection. I was like, need a cafe, like need an iced tea and a sweet. Like here's my intersection, and she had something for me that minute.
This is why I say that I would have to live there for at least 3 years before I can even get close to anybody.
Little Cupcake Bake Shop, also in Soho, which had this amazing, like we had like this banana Nutella cake that was awesome. It's perfect spot. Exactly what we needed. The one I think you got to do a little bit more of this than we did. We didn't carve out enough time. And I mean, I was trying to fit in a lot of shops and stuff, but like didn't carve out enough time for like that pre-dinner cocktail. Mm-hmm. We did Ear In before Il Buco, which was really cool. That was fun. That was fun to see. And I know y'all had some stops at over in Greenwich Village as well on another night. But like going back, I got to remember to kind of like you get your dinner spot, but maybe check out another spot for a cocktail beforehand.
I love the pre-dinner cocktail on vacation. It just feels good. I think what we really need to talk about, Barrett, is the shopping.
Yeah, we've kind of buried the lead here, haven't we?
No, but we can't just lead off with shopping and style and stuff because we are talking culture and everything. People want to know about the drinks and everything like that. Oh, we need to talk really briefly about the Bowery Hotel.
That's right. I'm glad you brought that up because on our last night there, we had kind of like we had the full group, kind of some of your New York friends as well as some of our Austin friends were there as well, and we all went to the Bowery Hotel for drinks. And I think it was your buddy, Brady, that suggested white Negronis.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is something he does.
And
the last time I was in New York, it was the first time I ever had a white Negroni. It was 2019. And it was April. And he was like, I'll do a white Negroni. And I looked over and I was like, excuse me? Like, what is this? And I've fallen in love with it.
A regular Negroni is like a drink that I will order, but almost like... I don't know how to put this. It's like I know it's a taste that is not my favorite, but I kind of enjoy it in spite of that. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what bitterness is to me in general.
Right. It's kind of like an acquired taste where it's like...
It's like, like the bitterness of coffee is something I don't crave the bitterness, but like when it's there and it's strong, I'm like, okay, that's what I came here for.
So I get a Negroni and I order them every once in a while, but the white Negroni took it to like another level because you get the gin, you get the kind of the botanicals and a little bit of that bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like it just is totally evened out by whatever is replacing the Campari.
They go quick. The Lillet Blanc.
The Lillet Blanc.
Yes.
And I think it's my drink of the summer at this point.
I'm willing to give it the front runner nod right now. I know it's only May 16th.
I'm big on the low ABV like aperitif kind of like Amaro spritzes too. Mm-hmm. But I think like my cocktail, I think it's a white Negroni.
It's good.
But that's
real good.
I think that does lead to something that we've been getting tagged.
So just right before this, we had breaking news out of Grubhub in New York.
Yeah,
a lot of people sending this to the Sunday Scaries account. And by a lot, I mean a lot of people sending this to the Sunday Scaries account. It's the Green Mango Martini. And the headline of this was the Green Mango Martini is not the drink of the summer. It's better than that, which is a big claim. And I have to say, this will not be the drink of the summer. And I'm going to explain why after reading a couple passages from this article. It says, although it is fabulous in summary, one detail about the Green Mango Martini that works in its favor is that it's only served at one bar, Super Bueno, a new Mexican-American establishment at the corner of First Street and First Ave in the East Village. From there on, that tells me everything I need to know. Yeah. This is a misleading article, and Grubhub is doing the opposite of the Lord's work right now.
It's tough, I think that's why the pasta water martini couldn't totally take off in the way that we wanted it to. Because
not all bars have pasta water.
Yeah, it's really like a specialty drink of one locale.
If you want to try to make this at home, it says that it's made with neither gin nor vodka. Instead, starting with a base of Patron that's infused with unripe mangoes, giving it a sour, slightly green flavor. So you'd really have to distill some of your own Patron at home.
Okay, wait. Is this a flavored Patron or they're making their own Patron?
I think they're taking the Patron and then putting unripe mangoes in there.
Okay, all right.
And then from there, it says that the real soul in this drink comes from a mango brandy that's made by a friend of Nacho, who I think is a bartender there. It says he uses a whole mango, crushes it, ferments it, and distills it. So what I'm saying is that this isn't happening for us. And so I think we can be comfortable right now saying that for us, the drink of the summer right now will be a white Negroni until further notice.
I think, I'm very comfortable.
That white Negroni took me from having a pretty chill night to having me stay up until 4 a.m. in the bar of my hotel with my buddy, begging the bartender to get us more cigarettes out of the back. Not proud of it, but also not ashamed of it.
Yeah, it's a good New York night.
Let's go shopping.
Let's go shopping.
A lot to cover here, Barrett.
Yeah. Okay. I'm bringing up the cliches again because sometimes we just are what we are.
Get your bell ready, Randy.
And I remember, I think I brought it up on this podcast, but like I think about a year ago, there was like a TikTok, like a super quick, reel or whatever that was just like a guy walking down the street in New York, and he was like, "Hey, so all my dudes who got into Amélie Leon d'Or last year." How's your Bodhi collection doing?
Well, sometimes being a stereotype feels good too.
And it was a very hyper specific call out that that was absolutely targeted, and it felt okay. It didn't feel great, but those are the two main spots that we had to hit.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, honestly, like I'm not even ashamed to say it.
And
the store, the Ame like actual store itself, like it's cool. It's just a cool space.
It's a very cool space.
They're pushing all the boundaries of style when it comes to men, and I think like we talked about it on the episode of Gian. I think Ame is a great brand because it gets people on the outside in. And that is a good thing to me. Yeah. I don't care if it's like a stereotype. I don't care if it's what every dude in Nolita's doing. It just is what it is. And I'm fine with that. Also,
the more I like talk to people about it and that are not just being snarky on TikTok and Reels, like the more like the through line, I think, is that everybody is consistently blown away by the way that Teddy puts things together. Mm-hmm. Like the styling and the lookbooks and the photo shoots that he does with friends and family and like everything about it is just like, people are obsessed for a reason, and that's because it always like comes out looking so amazing. And then he just has added this in-store and cafe experience that just like makes you want to be a part of it.
Yeah, people were just hanging out.
If people were just hanging out, it feels good. Everybody looks cool. And it was nice to get to see the new store like fresh off of its opening. And that is, I did make, if you're watching on YouTube, I grabbed a Unisphere hat as well as a pair of shorts. One of the big things about getting to see it all in person is that it's all, I think it's safe to say, I think we're all understanding that it's overpriced by probably like 25 to 30% because of the name brand, because it's got a lot of hype, because of the scarcity model that they operate within. But like everything still feels pretty good, you know? Mm-hmm. The quality is definitely there to a certain degree, which makes you feel okay about spending a little bit of money on it. And like you get to touch and feel some of the fabrics and the textures and really like say, oh, okay. Not to mention you can actually try stuff on there, which I ended up with a pair of the striped leisure shorts because I was like, these look sick in person. They feel amazing. And then I tried them on, and the fit was like the size that I put on was perfect. And I was like, well, I got to have these now. Not even an item that was on my radar looking through the collection.
That is why I tried on 0 items. Yeah. There was a reason I did not enter a changing room there because I knew that I would walk out with something that I did not need.
You showed good restraint.
They were out of the only thing that I was going to try, which was on my retail therapy wish list. And Gian told me, he's like, you got to try. It's free to try on. Go try it on. And I knew. The only pair that they had, though, was on display. And they didn't want me to try those on. So I was like, you know what? This is a sign that I should not wear the eyelet woven shorts.
We did. I think we both committed a bit of a faux pas here. And we were scolded by the way too cool store employees. But I walked up to this very fashionable young woman near the dressing room with like the 4 things in my hand that I had pulled off of the rack. And I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel good about grabbing this stuff. Because I was like, there's only one of everything hanging. It's very much like a showroom in that sense. But I was like, well, I don't know what to do. Nobody is telling you what to do, by the way, when you walk in.
No. Well, everyone's dressed so well, too, that you don't know if they're working there or if they're just dope. Like, they just look good.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know what to do.
So you kind of like don't know. So I grabbed it and I walked back there and I'm like, hi, can I try this in a small, this in an extra small? And she's like, yeah, sure. But can you please put that stuff back and not pull things off the rack? Thanks. So embarrassed myself. She later complimented my t-shirt though. So I think it was all good. It was water under the bridge. But if you go, don't pull stuff off the rack. They just know the product. Just be like, I want to try on that thing over there.
Yeah.
And give them a brief description and they will know what you're talking about. And then the checkout process as well. They're like, okay, I'm going to bag this up for you. And then that's all that they say. And then you're just supposed to know that means it's going to make its way up to the register and be in a bag behind the register. And then you wait in the register line and you're like, and it's basically like this. It's basically like the Soup Nazi episode of Seinfeld, where you walk up to the register and then you're like, one Unisphere hat and one pair of striped shorts, and they're like, and then they look in the bags and they get you and that's that. And hopefully they don't kick you out of the store for being a goof.
I was trying to talk to Mordecai the entire time we were in there while you were trying stuff on, and he's very lucky that I did not realize that he wrote a book about Grateful Dead style, because I wouldn't have let him
Shoot
go.
his ear off?
He would have been out with us at dinner, because I would have been like, no, you're coming with me. You're coming with me.
Yeah.
But that was fun as well. And after that, we went over to Noah and dipped into there for a little bit. I had to skip out a little early for my reservation at Via Carota, so I didn't get to actually do too much in there. But like, what were some other shopping highlights? Well, we both went to the Bodie store.
We both went to the Bodie store. I also think it's so one thing just through here. I'm just going to name some other stores. I walked into so I shopped at Bodie, Ame Leon Door. We walked into Noah. I walked through Corridor, the Todd Snyder liquor store, 316, Saturdays New York City, obviously the Nordstrom store, and then I did John Elliott as well. And the eyelet crochet open knit short sleeve shirt is like, I mean, if you thought it was hot last year, it is truly, truly everywhere.
Correct.
Correct. Every single one of these stores has their own version of it. So if you want to do this, you better do it right now. And that was like the trend that like super stuck out to me. The one thing that I did want to note, the last store that I tried to hit on Friday, I dragged Laura to, and it was like kind of on the opposite end of Soho, which is why we hadn't gotten to it before, was Stussy, which has officially reached line out the door that stretches for 1 block to get in.
Crazy.
Just like Ame.
Crazy.
Now, this was on Friday, so there had been a drop that day. I don't know if it's like that on like a Tuesday when there's not a drop. Maybe it might not be daily like ALD is. But we walked up. Laura was like, "Is this the line for the store you want to go to?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we turned around and walked away. So I did not get to check out Stussy. Yeah, give me some of your notes, and then I wanted to make some women's notes too, because I think Laura did as much shopping as I did, or at least we went into as many women's stores as we did men's.
Sally had like no desire to really do that much shopping, and if she did, she didn't seek out any stores hard enough for us to actually like go off path. The first store I went to was Drake's. Absolutely loved it. I ended up getting a pair of pants there. Had a really good experience with the entire staff as we were kind of just talking about all this stuff. I was there pretty early, so they didn't have too many people walking in. So I felt like I got a true full service experience in there. But that was probably my number one store that I wanted to hit overall. I look at so much of their stuff online, and so when I got to go in and check out everything, I was just pretty pumped up. I ended up finding this random pin that they had on their website that I really wanted, of a duck dipping its nose into a glass of wine, and because it had scratches on it, because it's literally like the only one they had left.
Whoa!
They gave it to me at discount. They could see how happy I was. I just really like ducks and I like wine. I just had to make it happen. After that, went to Alex Mill. I got an overshirt that I really enjoyed. And then we just kind of bopped around. Went to the Real, which just doesn't really have things that I need or want. We went to a resin place called Dinosaur, which was kind of cool. Okay. We used to sell their stuff in the store that I used to work for. Bodie, Ame, obviously Nordstrom. And then we did a little pop into Bloomingdale's because Sally had to do something, but I didn't really get to bop around too much in there. I think if anything, that place gave me a little bit more of a panic attack than anything.
Yeah.
Sally was like, "Why are you sweating?" I was like, "Because the music's really loud in here and I just don't feel good."
I thought did you go to the Soho Real, right? The one like right in
Yeah.
So we popped in there too. Didn't spend much time because one, it was packed. Two, it was overwhelming.
Yes.
Like it's like 3 floors, and
it's too much.
It's so much.
And it's like so high in designer that like that's not really what I'm trying to shop for in general.
And they know what they have there as well. And so exactly like you're saying, it's like, yeah, it's discounted high designer, but like I kept like pulling things out and like looking at its price tag and it'd be like $1,100.
Yeah, I pulled out a sweater. I pulled out a sweater from the Row that was still $600. Right. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. Like I've already like blown my allotment that I've given myself for this trip. So who cares?
Yeah. Last men's stuff I wanted to mention. There's a shop called Blue and Green that carries like a really amazing array of brands. It's down by the Drakes that I did not get to go into. So that's for next time. And then also for next time is a brand called Stoffa that right now is just like in their showroom era. So you might even have to make an appointment to go see it. This was high on my list, but I did specifically kind of avoid it on purpose because I didn't want to go in there and spend $1,200 on a jacket.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't in the budget for this trip. Okay, so some women's because I know we've got a female audience, and so this is kind of I'm basically pulling from Laura's experience and just kind of like the stores and the brands that we really liked, and some of these you probably know, and then others maybe will be somewhat new to you. But I'll run through these really quick. Really liked the store called Bash, spelled B-A and then a little ampersand SH.
Okay.
Really cool stuff, like great vacation wear, kind of beachy, but also just like cool and contemporary. There's a lot of occasion dresses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like. My immediate reaction is I'm into this.
Yeah, it's definitely like on the higher end, but really good stuff. I think our favorite store was probably Staud.
Okay.
Staud, where everything just kind of like fit Laura very well, which is. If you've ever been shopping with your significant other or your spouse or whoever, like it's pretty rare for women. I would say
everything fits.
Is it? Yeah. So that was cool. I really am a big fan of the brand Cult Gaia, but it is again very specific, like not necessarily for daily wear, but really cool dresses for specific occasions. Now, if you do want something that is great for daily wear, this brand is carried at all over the place, including Nordstrom. It's called Rails.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really nice. Kind of like I would kind of call Rails like the way that Todd Snyder is for J. Crew. Rails is kind of like that to like maybe women's J. Crew, but it's just basically like it's basics, but done in a really good way with like a little bit more edge and
a little more elevated,
a little bit more elevated, and then a little bit higher of a price point. On the lower end, man, the fast fashion in New York, the shop, they're too big. They're, like you walk into the Zara and it's just kind of like the real. You have to be equipped. You have to be ready.
I'm not built
to do that shopping experience.
The stores that I went in that I bought things from, I already had seen these things and knew that I was looking for I went equipped, but these were much smaller brands, with much smaller spaces.
Yeah. But this store, which had a lot of stuff, just wasn't nearly as big as Zara, is called And Other Stories, and it's kind of like it's fast fashion-esque, but like a little bit more specific. Like I think it knows what it's doing. It's got a more specific style, whereas like Zara just like throws everything at the wall. They cover the gamut.
Yeah, you just keep scrolling.
This is like, or maybe a better way to put it is like if Zara is kind of like trying to dupe like a lot of the high end stuff, And Other Stories is kind of like more adjacent to like Reformation or a Nien Bing. And then Cezanne, we've mentioned that one before. Great store. Laura found a really cute pair of sunglasses there, but poor selection at their Soho location.
Really?
Yeah, which we were very, very disappointed.
Did you go late in the day and the employees were just too lazy to restock?
I think that was her number one place that she wanted to go. And then it's like, I think women, and I think like we kind of like Cezanne because it's like very French and very feminine and very like where to work, where to whatever, where on the weekend. But then it also kind of has like this kind of like sexiness about it. And like everything that they were carrying in the Soho store was like the most conservative stuff that they had.
Weird. I saw a girl wearing like a full on garter belt poking out of her jeans like when we were walking through Soho, and I was like, "What's going on here?" Like, yeah, people here are on such another level.
Right. It didn't really match. It didn't match the New York of it all, which I just thought was weird. I mean, so it's like they didn't have like I just thought that they would have a kind of a better curation at the store. And then the last thing that I will mention is, I don't know if you know this, but Adidas Sambas are very big right now.
Yeah, I've heard.
So Laura has kind of wanted a pair. We were walking around and I was like, "Oh, hey, there's a big Adidas up on Houston. You want to like pop through and like see if let's just see."
It's pronounced Houston? Just kidding.
So we went there and they did not have the white pair in her size, but she was able to try on the black pairs and get her size. And there is another Adidas store in Soho, like a 5-minute walk. And so they looked up and they were like, "Oh yeah," they looked it up on their little iPad and they were like, "Yeah, they've got a couple of 7s down there." And we were like, "Oh my God, okay, great, perfect, great." So we left and we walked down there, and on the way we popped into that And Other Stories store that I just mentioned. Probably spent half an hour, looked at a lot of stuff. Laura tried on a few things. We get down to the Adidas store on Spring Street and walked in and asked about the Sambas, and they basically like laughed us out of the store.
Like, nah.
So
sorry.
They had been sold literally like in the 30 minutes that we were in between
brutal
the Houston store and the Spring Street store. And like we were asking the guy about them, and this foreign woman walks up, and she just goes, I'd like a pair of shoes in a 7.5. And the guy was like, you want to tell me which ones?
Yeah,
and she
just
was like, anything, gazelle, samba.
You're like, okay.
So like, it's the only thing that they're just walking into an Adidas store being like, hey, let me get a 7.5, and just kind of like expecting that they're going to know that they mean the sambas or the gazelles.
It's like people from Texas ordering a Coke and then just be like,
yeah. So it is,
well,
it's crazy out there on the Adidas Sambas front. But yeah.
What purchases did you make?
So I mentioned my Ame hat here and the shorts that I got. And then I brought a little show and tell. This is for the YouTubers out there.
Oh, hell yeah. So we're getting a live unboxing?
Yeah, live unboxing. Here's my 1 of 1. It just arrived today. So
did you get a bag from the Bodhi store?
I called and I tried to get one added, but they'd already shipped.
So yeah, I bought a t-shirt from the Bodhi store. It's got a horse on it. And I took it to go, and they gave me a very cool bag.
It's a very cool bag.
I will be saving it and using it for something random. But when Barrett saw the bag, I could see some of your life leaving your body.
I was green with envy. I was like, because the reason I had it shipped is because if you ship from Bodhi, you save the tax because they're not big enough to like charge tax everywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did on this shirt. Little did I know that I should have been like, but yo, throw a shopping bag in there.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was going to be part
of the
experience.
That's a pro tip that you can only get on retail therapy.
Yeah. So even if you do the shipping thing, just be like, but yo, throw a shopping bag in there.
Exactly.
I need that thing.
Exactly.
So
it's a cool bag.
Another reason to come back. But here's my
Barrett. Floral king.
Very floral, very tableclothy. But I was trying on a bunch of other stuff. I was like doing some gauze shirts and like some weird stuff that I wanted to like, but I just couldn't like sell myself on a color. And then I walked back out and I picked this one up and I tried it on and I was like, oh, that's the one.
I was surprised by how thin some of their shirts were. I was just like, I mean, I was so nipply. I was like, yeah, I can't make this happen. Yeah. But then I tried on the t-shirt, which was really when I went into the dressing room. I feel like when you go into a dressing room, you can always look at one thing and it's like, you know what? If this fits perfectly, nothing else in this pile really matters. Yeah. And that was the t-shirt for me, and I was very happy about that. And then from there, I just got a pair of pants from Drake's that are currently at the tailor that I cannot wait to get back.
Are those your baggiest pants ever that you mentioned?
No, these are no. Those are the baggiest pants ever with the Manresa pants. And then I got an overshirt from Alex Mill that was just like a navy blue linen shirt that is not like it's just straight up linen, like a thin layer of linen, and it's like the perfect layer for the summer season when you don't want to have too much weight on you. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I need right now for my wardrobe.
Yeah. The t-shirt that you tried on from Bodhi, I also really liked. I actually tried it on as well. And then I was actually kind of disappointed that I didn't buy it because the next day or like on the way home, I saw that photo of Bad Bunny and Kendall Jenner both at the Lakers game sitting next to each other wearing nearly identical snakeskin boots. And I was like, damn, we could have memed the shit out of this if we had both bought the exact same Bodhi t-shirt. That
would have been good. I would have enjoyed it had we bought the same t-shirt. You probably tried it. If you tried it on, you probably tried on the same one I did.
It's possible, man. But it's a great graphic. I might end up with the crew neck or something later. You walk into these stores, you touch and you feel, and you just like you're reminded of like why the in-store experience matters still.
It's the best. It's the best. Because like even just like walking around every store we went into, from Nordstrom to Ame to Bodhi, like it brings so much clarity to the different things that you look at. I mean, there were so many items that I walked up to at Ame where I was just like, okay, I didn't like this online, but holding it right here, I want this. And then there were other things that I walked up to and I thought, like, you know what? This is a little cheaper than it looks online. I'm really glad that I didn't even take a flyer on this because I would have been bummed. I did end up making somewhat of a purchase at Ame because I was going to return the eyelet sweater, and then I saw like cool dudes wearing it, and I was like, okay, I think I might be back in on the eyelet sweater.
Nice.
So it's since been decided within the DeFries household that will be sticking around.
I like it. I'm happy to hear that.
Shall we do we have any other thoughts on New York, or should we hit the wish list items?
We should probably just bump onto the wish list items. I'll say that I stayed at two places. I stayed at the Marlton and the Broome NYC. The Marlton was like a little bit like closer to the West Village. Broome was in Soho. If you're curious about either one of those places, you can just DM me. I liked them both. They each had their pros and cons. So if you want to be right in the mix, literally walkable to every single one of the shops we just talked about, the Broome is a great spot. If you love ultra cute French style, beautiful crown molding and unbelievable natural light in your room, the Marlton might be for you.
I enjoyed my experience at the Marlton a lot, and they had the Spring Valley Waterfalls just sitting there waiting.
That I mean, yeah, you can't discount that.
It was big. It was big. Something I did see in person for the first time, which is I'm adding to my wish list items today, is the Birkenstock Kyoto suede leather gray sandal. I've been looking for something I can wear around the house. I'm not a slipper guy. I don't really like slippers. I think my feet are too sweaty for slippers. And so I've just never had any, but I've gotten to the point where I want something that I can walk around in all the time and also wear out at some point too. And I just want these Kyoto Birkenstocks at this point. There's something about them that I kind of dig. And I think it's that I'm just really trying to replicate everything that the dude from Beef is doing right now. And he's got different pairs of slides that just kind of look like this.
Yeah, I'm totally here for it. The Kyotos, they also, like Fear of God just did their Birkenstock collaboration.
Those were awesome.
With a sandal that looks, that's very much in the same vein. I don't think I'm saying too much here because I'm pretty sure Gian mentioned it on our live pod.
He did.
I think I might have to wait for the Mule Boys collab to grab a pair of sandals.
Gian needs to give us a little heads up. He needs to give us a little heads up.
Maybe he can just drop that link for us.
I would like a pre-sale link, please. Gian, if you're listening, hit us with that pre-sale.
On my wish list today, did you say that you saw these Birkenstocks in store somewhere?
I did. I didn't see this exact style, but I saw the Kyoto style at the Nordstrom store. And that's where I kind of started to fall in love with them a little
bit. The shoe selection
crazy
alone at that men's that Nordstrom men's store really just like I was blown away. I was like, oh my, this is so good. But so for me, my choice also comes from like getting to see stuff in person. This time, I already mentioned Todd Snyder. We love Todd Snyder. It's a brand that a lot of people I know like talk about. It's I got my suit for a wedding last summer from there. Sometimes it just feels like a little like too clean and boring. But then like I got to walk through the liquor store, had very little time, but I got to put my hands on some of the stuff and just kind of like see the presentation. And I was like, this stuff is just really good. This stuff is really, really good. It feels good. And it just like makes sense because it's so versatile in your wardrobe. I talked about like, we've been kind of talking about tonal seersucker or tech seersucker on the podcast the last couple of months. And I need more shorts for the summer. I need some e-waist. I need some more elasticity in my life. And so this kind of two-tone olive seersucker weekend short has just jumped up on my wish list here.
Yeah, catch me swagger jacking you.
Yeah. 4 colors.
These gonna be in the wardrobe at some point.
There's a whole set of linen colors that they've got here too. Linen is back with a vengeance this summer. Let me tell you what. You just grabbed linen on the trip, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I've been doing a lot of linen.
Will's already there.
Wrinkle Boy Summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm getting these faded black 5-inch seersucker weekend shorts are as good as mine right now. Well, Barrett, I'm gonna go rest. I accidentally woke up at 4 today, and after Derby, straight into New York, straight into work. Like it's an exhausting time in the retail therapy corner.
It really was, and I know it will take like we mentioned how like Monday was worse than Sunday from Derby. I think like the New York hangover, or just like the travel hangover, actually hit me this morning. It was like a 2-day delay this go round.
I woke up today and was just like, I'm gassed.
I just need some solid nights of sleep at this point, man.
Yep. It's going to be like a unisom night for your boy.
But it was all good. It was all
take
awesome.
Some PEDs.
And yeah, man.
If we missed anything, I'll try to make sure to include it in the listener digest for this week's episode. But other than that, I think we got to skedaddle on out of here, Barrett. It's been real. It's been fun traveling with you. Hope to do it again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. See you guys sooner than later.